This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Reinforce Your Gym podcast. I got a special guest, a peer in the marketing space, and an expert that I wanted to tap to bring you guys the knowledge you need to grow your gym. So I am joined by EJ Rivera, the CEO and founder of Honeynest. Welcome, EJ. You ready to do this, man?
Absolutely, man. I've been looking forward to this. Thank you, Dustin.
All right. So just for the people who are not familiar with you and your story, let's start there. How did you come to being an agency owner that serves gyms as well as other verticals? I'll let you kind of back up and tell that story.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us, you see someone doing something that you want to do and you say, I want to be like that one day. That happened to be an agency that was helping out other businesses, ended up getting in there one day through tons of referrals, through working with tons of one-off concepts. We did some ads with Tony Robbins and then did some webinar stuff, did some e-commerce, got my foot in the door at this agency. And then lo and behold, we find out it's nothing like what we thought it was. And we don't want to be anything like them at all. So then, we start fixing marketing gaps and whatever it is. Sometimes we have to go through a few different agencies in my case, or you work at a few different gyms and you figure out systems that are working, systems that aren't working, and you just start fixing it. And then, in some cases you build it and people start to come, and that's what we're blessed enough to do. And now we work with a handful of franchises. So that's how I got to where we're at today.
Okay. And so what drew you to helping gyms specifically? It sounded like, of course, you went and worked at another agency more as a team member, but then you went off and became an entrepreneur and started your own thing. But why not work with another vertical? What makes you have like a heart for gyms and fitness?
I think the main thing, honestly, is that the ripple effect is just massive, right? So I know for a fact that we can help whoever, however, but we landed with gyms because the ripple effect is so big. If we can help one owner get to 50, get to 100 members, that's not 50 or 100 members. That's 50 or 100 families that are impacted. That's 50 or 100, best friends, spouses that are impacted. So we want to be part of that. And I think that's how we ended up to where we're at.
Love it. It's funny because that almost was verbatim. The mission statement of our gyms was to create healthy families for future generations was our mission statement. And to your point, when mom gets healthy, she then leads her kids to be healthy. And you now created generational health. We all hear about generational wealth, but man, to impact someone's family lineage with their health habits, that's huge. So I love that. All right. Well, yeah, let's get into helping these guys grow their business, man. That's the main thing we want to dive into. And so, I know you pick up on patterns, because you work with hundreds of gyms over the years and you've seen common things they do wrong. And our goal is to be the flashing warning signal to say, guys, don't do this. We've seen where it goes. We can tell you there's a car wreck waiting at the end. Let me save you that, right? Let me help you dodge that bullet. So we're going to go into like some golden nuggets in a sec. But before we do, I want to kind of tackle just like the way that gym owners think mindset wise. Like before we get into the tactics, what do you think mindset wise holds gym owners back from getting to their goals and growing their gym?
I think like any business, it's what is the intent behind why you're starting what you're doing? Is it to be in the fulfillment day to day and build the relationships with the local community? That might be the start of it. Other people are getting into business to sell it, to step out of it and to grow to multiple different branches. So I think, and you'll find this through a lot of what I talk about is like, a lot of it starts with what is the original intent that you're going into it with. And so if you have that as your own North Star, anytime you get confused, anytime you're confronted with a fork in the road, you'll know which path to take, which is going to get you towards that ultimate goal. For some people, it's stepping out of the day-to-day and just being able to come work out of their own gym. For some people, it's opening multiple studios. For some people, it's exiting altogether and being a silent owner. So I would say it's 100%. The mindset starts with what is your intent going into it first and having that as your North Star.
Love it. I've heard it said like begin with the end in mind. That sounds like what you're saying is like, I think as a business owner, it's very easy to just get sucked into putting out fires and day-to-day tasks and just kind of keep things moving forward. But what you're challenging people to think is like, what are they moving forward to? Like, where are we going? What is the plan? Is it one gym? Do you want to own multiple? Do you want to maximize profit? Are you okay reducing profit and having a team run the day to day? Like, where are we going, Mr. or Mrs. Gym owner? And a lot of times, I think you're right. Like, we just get so sucked into just doing day to day work and keep things chugging along. We don't ever take a time out and say, what do I want? The ultimate goal is like, I'm taking all this risk to get the life that I want out of it. That's the whole reason. Otherwise, I could go take the safety of a paycheck. So I think that's a great thing to challenge everyone before we get into the tactics, of course, right? So let's go into those good old golden nuggets because I know that's what everyone's excited for. Let's start with your specialty, which is marketing or client acquisition. Whatever you see working right now, feel free to share like some free game to help a gym owner get some people through the door and of course attract high quality leads. Because I'm sure like me, you hear the number one thing is the leads are no good, right? The leads are trash. Like, so how do you get them qualified leads that then become good long-term members?
Yeah, 100%. And similar to what you mentioned too, going straight into, I want to talk about marketing because starting with the end goal in mind. And I tell people this all the time is I don't care if I get 100 leads in a month or 200 leads in the month if none of them are going to answer. If none of them are going to take the next step and come in, I would much rather get a lower amount of volume, which is going to be lower work for me, but I can focus on really building the relationship with these
Mm,
prospects coming in. And so I can talk about the algorithm. I could talk about, the best types of creatives to use, copy tactics to use and implement. But the fact is that all of that changes with time, no matter what. It always has and it always will.
mhm,
But the thing that has always stood the test of time and what people really misunderstand is the offer. Like I've even made a video on this before, and I don't make YouTube content too often, but it's so important to understand what an offer is. So traditionally, people are going to look up their competitor, mimic the ad. They might run the same offer, and maybe now with AI, they're throwing it into Claude or whatever, and saying, "Give me the same type of ad like this, but put my colors on it or whatever it is." Right.
mm,
So now, I'm going to tell you that with certainty, the people that I talk to on the phones before we even work with them, they're spending money on those ads for X amount of time and it's not working because by default, you'll see something that's running for maybe 2 or 3 months if you're fancy enough to go on Facebook ads library, which by the way is a way you can look at anyone's ads that they're running. And if you're savvy enough to go in there to look at competitors' ads, you might think, okay, well, this has been running for 2 months. There's no way that they're going to spend money on this if it's not making money. But they're trying to figure it out. And that's usually the case whenever I see people that are doing that. So anytime we look at an account, whether if it has data already or not, before anything, we always have to look at the local market. Think of like Yelp, for example, their reviews, but it's not to understand what to run, it's what not to run. So understanding the buying personas, their behaviors, income levels, education levels. And then once we have all of that, then we need to get the offer at its core. And then we need to repackage it and reframe it. Those are the two things. So we're going to talk offer and repackaging and reframing it. A really good example, and I love giving this example because it's the easiest, I think, for anyone to grasp the concept of, is if I was going through a divorce, which I'm not, and attorney A says free consultation, and attorney B says how not to lose the house, kids, and car through a settlement, I'm probably going to go with attorney B, right? So I can get a
mm,
free consult anywhere. I can get a free trial anywhere. I can get a 1 week trial anywhere. But if this attorney is saying how not to lose the house, kids, and cars through a settlement, I am going to attract the people that are in my marketing message. So I'm going to be looking for
mm,
divorcees. It's the same attorney and it's the same offer at the core, which is a free consult. And so you might be thinking, well, I don't want to target moms or dads or students or athletes. That's fine. All you have to do is just repackage it and split test that. So now we have how not to lose the house, kids, and car. And then this attorney says, how to make sure I do really is a happily ever after. And now he's doing prenups. So now we have two different offers that are targeting two different markets, but it's the same core offer of a free consult. And so now we're left with this incredible offer that we can put into the marketplace, and it's not a race to the bottom on price anymore. So most of the time, people are going to put a price-oriented offer out there, and it's great. I think it's worth testing. We test it out too, but it should be split tested and then tracked like a hawk. So looking all the way down to what happens when someone shows up for that type of an offer and how much are they being closed for. You might find that the price-oriented people are being closed for 3 or 4 months, and the people with really a pain point-oriented problem are being closed for 6 to 12 months, right? So that's what I mean by tracking it like a hawk. Let's look at a gym, for example. If we take and reframe an offer, let's say you have a week trial, it's pretty common. And one that was saturated a couple years ago was 7 days for $7. So normally maybe your week trial is 45 bucks, and we can reframe that to say 84% off of a 7 day VIP pass. Or another one is 3 days for $30. That's another one that's going through the saturation pipeline right now. So a lot of people are just pushing 3 days for $30 out. But if we reframe that differently and we can say this is a buy one get two free, or it's also 66% off a 3 day experience, or it's a $90 credit for $30 because your drop-in rate is $30 per class. So
Nice.
we can do this all day long, right? And so we just looked at three different reframes, and now we need to reposition it to a unique persona. So now let's say mother, father, student. That's three personas. And we have those three different reframes. That gives us 9 different angles to hit the market with. So it's not that the market is bad. It's not that the creative is bad. If your offer is good, it will pull a bad creative. If your creative is good, it will pull a bad copy. You will never have a bad copy pull a good creative or fix a bad creative, or you'll never have a bad or a creative, excuse me, pull a bad offer. So at the core, if we fix the offer, everything else can fall into place, and then we have the margin for error up here for the creative and for the ad copies. And then after that, it's like experience makes up like 5%. So again, it's just an angling issue. And the key word here is that now we have an offer that's non-Googleable. So think of that for a second. If you look at, I'm just going to step out of this. If you look at a product that you see on like TikTok or something, you'll see that you see that same type of product everywhere, but people are calling it something different. So if they're just exposed to this product A and the generic version is product B, product A has this gift wrapped around it. Maybe they package it different. Maybe they white label it. Maybe they call it something different. But now you can't search up what their version of it is on Google and find it. And if you do, they're finding you instead. And so at the end of the day, everyone offers accountability, strength, cardio, maybe mobile app access, whatever it is. But if we can repackage and reframe that uniquely to someone, then I mean, even your competitors aren't going to know what you're offering. And that's really what makes you stand out into a blue ocean versus competing on price for offers. If you
Love
fix
it.
the offer, everything else can fall into place or you have the margin to make it work.
Sounds like back when you were, bringing up the lawyer difference is that one lawyer offered an outcome and one just said, I'll meet with you. And people are busy. And so even as gyms, we use the word consultation, which I don't love because no one wants to be consultant by a coach. It's like, what are you going to say? Like, you're fat, your hips are tight. Like, they know that. They don't need to be consulted. They know it's wrong. They need
Yeah.
to know who can help me solve this problem, who's an expert in the problem I have. If I'm weight loss, who's the body transformation gym? If I need to improve for sports, who's the best sports performance gym? If I have tight hips, who's the mobility expert? And so it's like that's what they're looking for is outcomes. And we lose this so quickly in fitness when it's so clear in all the other industries that people are going to do something for money and you want to see like I'm going to come fix your air conditioner and I'm not going to leave till it's fixed for this much money. Do you want me to do that? It's a clear trade, right?
Right.
I think fitness is tough for a lot of gym owners and coaches because you're selling the invisible. There is no, I don't see the fixed AC. I don't get the iPad in my hand. I don't receive the product at the Amazon box. You just tell me we're going to burn these mystery things called calories, or we're going to build these things that I can't see build day by day called muscles. And I have to
Yep.
just trust you in 90 days, I'm going to look different. There's a lot of trust you got to build, right? And you're selling something that's not visible without lots of consistent work. So in terms of like offers, any other, I guess, add-on pieces of advice, because that was so good. How could somebody decide if they need to go at it as I need to expand the amount of people that I'm speaking to, or I need to change up the amount of hooks that I'm using, or do you think that everyone has to do both, or they shouldn't really be deciding between one or the other?
So they'll need to do both, but there's an eventual clause there. So at the core, your messaging is the most important thing because that's what's gift wrapping your offer. Your messaging is just how you reframe, how you reposition it. So we talked about the reframing out to mother, father, student. That can also be someone who has lower back pain for one angle, for example. That can be someone who wants to get a core. So there's different people for that. You've heard of booty boot camps, right? That's another one, for example. So those are different markets, right? Someone with back pain probably doesn't have, or maybe they do have like a booty issue and they want to get into that class or that special, whatever it is.
Mm.
So once you have your messaging down, then you narrow down again and then you start testing out your different hooks. The name of the game way back when used to be test out the different hooks, but what we found is that yes, we're getting the people hooked in within 3 to 5 seconds, but even with the hooks coming in, it was giving the algorithm the taste of blood that it needed to push the message further, not to find the right people. And so with the newer algorithm that's out, the message holistically is being presented to the right people, not just for the hook.
Mm. I
So
see.
that's why it's important to make
Okay.
sure you have the messaging at the core focused on it. And then if once you find your bite of blood or whatever for your messaging, that's where you start testing out your different hooks.
So I don't know if you have any numbers or you can kind of think of a case study that comes to mind, but who's an owner that they had like a really weak offer and you don't have to like call out their gym, but then you guys did your magic and then like what kind of outcome came from it? I'm sure
Yeah.
again, you could think of many, but if you just pick one that is good to highlight.
I'll give you someone that was last month actually. So through the process that we do a check-in on day 10, 20, and 30. On day 20 is where we look at the offers. So we talk a lot about offers. In the very beginning, that's the first thing that we settle down on is getting the offer and the split tested version or variations of that offer down. So on day 20, we're checking in on how it's working and if we need to cut one of the variations or cut it all and change the core offer. And so what we did is we launched someone with a week offer, like WEEK offer.
Yeah.
So week long offer. And we wanted to repackage it and reframe it, and they didn't want to. So we're like, okay, we're not ever going to force someone to run something for their business they don't want to. So we're like, cool. We're going to run your offer. What you're telling us that you're having issues with right now, we're going to throw, our creative at it and our copy with it too. And then the experience will make it a nice experience for people when they come through. And so when we did this offer, we ran it, kept it very price oriented. They were on so they have two locations in a greater area. One location had an $86 cost per lead inquiry, just someone
Wow.
opting in. The other one had a $164 cost per lead or inquiry. That's just someone going through and saying name, email, phone, that's it. That's it.
That's
When we
wild.
looked at it and we said, "Hey, how's it going? It's day 20. You want to mix it up a little bit, or is everyone here that you're getting coming through and buying and referring their friends and family? Because that's where it would be worth it, right?" But no, in that case, they didn't speak to anyone. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's go back to focusing on quality then and get the messaging right. Within 2 days, we built it out, launched it. We got them down to $7 and $10 per inquiry. But more importantly, now that we have the volume, we can start to go the next step deeper in the funnel, which is the scheduled consult. So we were getting scheduled consults for $15 and $20. And then out of those, their show rate is roughly like 60, 70% because they weren't requiring deposits. And their cost per acquisition was roughly around like $80 or less. And they stay on
Wow.
for 10 months at like $190. So
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the extreme of both sides. So that's what happens when you get this offering part right, but you have to test it out. What I will say when you go to test this out is go to it with three different reframes. You can position two. One of them is usually going to do good, the other one will flop, and that's the one that you hone in on. And then you can split test that out with different hooks or whatever it is. If they both flop, then you use that third variation and you bleed it in. If you do all three of them out the gate, depending how much you're spending, you're going to wear your budget flat. So not to dork out about paid ads, but
Yeah. Well, there's gonna be a mixed bag. People are like, I love ads, and people are like, like I touch it here and there. There's people like, I want nothing to do with it. You guys take care of it. I don't want to even, look at it. So, yeah. And to your point, something to consider, gym owners, I'm talking to you, is your ad spend. We've had owners say, I want to run a kids program and I want to run an adults program and I want an older adult program and I want to spend $25 a day. So what are you telling Facebook? Like $7 each? Like who's going
Yeah.
to make money on that, right? Especially you might get a lead every 3 days. Like it's crazy. So
Yep.
take into consideration your budget and then how many different markets you're talking to. It can really, you got to be having the right expectations about what things are going to cost.
Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right, if you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then.
So let's move on. Let's go to retention. I know again that you don't own a gym per se, but I'm sure you've coached a lot of owners and you've heard best practices. So what is a keeping clients type of nugget that you can pass on to gym owners that you just see make a meaningful difference and improve retention?
So I think the beauty with this is that we've been able to oversee tons of different verticals. And
Mm,
at the root of it all with business is it comes down to the actual relationship. So
yes.
everyone listening might have the best community, the best equipment, the best staff, whatever it is. But when people are joining, they're really entering into a relationship or a covenant or a commitment. So in a relationship that you're serious about, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to break up or you're going to get married. So those are the two outcomes of a serious relationship. And so, you know, people are typically getting into this relationship because of what they think they want, and they think that you can help them get there. And so all the bells and whistles that the studio or the gym has to offer, it doesn't matter if they don't have any hope. And the key word here is hope that you're going to get them to that goal legitimately. And so now if we understand that these members, these clients are genuine relationships, it starts with finding their vanity goal. And so similar, like I mentioned in the very beginning, it starts with the end. So
Mm,
everyone has this sort of vanity goal that's in their mindset, the short term, the 6 week challenge, people that are going for something that is going to be within grasp, right? Even though they haven't hit it, no matter how many times they've tried, they still want to have that as their goal. And there's always something deeper. So typically a front desk staff or studio manager might just have this as like a check off box or a form fill out, and then they'll put it into a drawer. But we need to understand why and then how they actually got to that goal. So then once we have that, we need to look at the future pacing for them and see this vanity goal as like a prelude to their North Star. So a great example here, and this is where I get, really passionate about the offers and why it's important that these gym owners can help out people is you may be talking to someone, let's say someone in their 40s, 50s, and they're telling you that I want to play with my grandkids. That's very common. But we need to understand why they got to that. Why now? How did they get to that? What happened for that to be an issue for them now, 50 years in, instead of 40
mm,
or 30 years in? And so these conversations get very heart to heart, very personal with people, but we really want to understand why they're talking to you and why they think, more importantly, you can help them with that goal. We may find out that Dan had a birthday party celebration for his grandson that turned 3. And then he saw the grandfather on the other side of the family jumping in the pool, throwing up their grandkid, holding the piñata, and they're thinking, damn, I can't do that. My shoulders are too weak. I can't hold up my shoulders that long. Or they look so strong they can take off their shirt and jump in to the pool, and I can't do that. And so if we nail this right out the gate, we're always going to be able to keep members passionate about what the product is. because they're always going to be able to realize why they started. And this is where the real accountability comes in. Someone may have gotten tagged in a photo on Facebook and no one's eyes saw it except theirs because they deleted it or removed the tag, right?
Mhm.
Just the wrong angle, wrong date, wrong time. And so, we have the responsibility of following up and following through with these people and holding them accountable. That starts as soon as they inquire. Because what happens at the end of the day, they go to bed, they wake up the next morning, and then they are off to their day and they think, oh, that's fine. I'll just block that friend or family member that tagged me in a photo. So now, anytime we catch a whiff also of them having some type of churn or there's an indicator of it, no showing the classes, not coming in for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
unresponsive. Maybe you're tagging them in stories and they're not responding or they're not liking a comment if you tag them in a post. Then we know how to have a proactive conversation with them versus a reactive service call and trying to save them. And there's a group training concept out here where I live in Arizona, and they're pretty dang close. They're not 100%, but what they would do is they would reach out to all their members over text and email. They would send out like a generic message
Mhm.
quarterly to have like a focus session with clients. So this takes time, but take the 1 hour every 2 weeks, make the time to actually call people. And most people aren't going to answer anyways, but this is a chance for you to plant the seed, plant the little mustard seed in there. And so if we're holding them accountable, maybe not every 2 weeks, maybe it's once every 3 weeks or once a month, at worst once a quarter for these people because they deserve it, right? If we can reach out to them and check in how they're pacing with their goals, you can have a small paper Rolodex, you can have a Google Sheet, whatever it is, make it happen. Have something to check in on them. How was your son's birthday? How is life being a new parent since blank happened? You don't have to go out and buy them gifts and everything, even if it's a small handwritten note. That's going to retain people much longer than you think because they understand that you understand their main, we like to call it a big, hairy, ambitious goal or their North Star that they have. How has it been with playing with your grandkids since we last talked? That's what we want to ultimately do and have those types of conversations because now we're holding them accountable by pushing them forward and giving them that quote unquote positive pressure forward over to their goal versus trying to reel them back in anytime they're ghosting us for 2 weeks and telling them to get off the couch and come into sweat.
Yes. So in short, it's care and check in with your clients on a scheduled basis, not like when I feel like it or if I see they're going through something. Like make it a system and train your team to do it. And this is something I knew even at my gyms, everyone would have some office hours allotted to them. They wouldn't just have coaching hours, and the office hours were for client check-ins, calls, voice notes, adding notes to their account. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but inside of the Ritz-Carlton, they've built their own CRM called Mystique. And
Mhm.
basically it saves your preferences. So if they say, hey, do you like this paper or this paper? And you're like, oh, I'm a Washington Post guy. And they deliver it to your doorstep. From that point forward, you go to any property around the world, you always have the Washington Post. They won't ask you again because they saved your preferences.
Yeah.
And so there's stories of where it backfired because the person's like, oh, I love classic rock. And then they went to, their property in Mexico. They opened up their door and it's playing classic rock. And they're like, well, I'm in Mexico. I want some authentic Mexican music. And so they said, we even don't have it down, right? The people can still gripe about things, even though we built automations to try to make their life match their preferences. So all it is the team just goes in and enters things as they hear someone talk about it or they make a note and they say, I served time in the military. Well, if you said at the restaurant, the waitress goes and puts it in your Mystique account and says they're a veteran, right? And it's like, that's what your team is constantly doing is their ears are open and they're just listening and then have a place where they can go and put notes. And then you can refer to those notes when you do your check-ins, right? As the team, like a beehive mind, is collecting information on your clients. So yeah, I love that. That's a great tip. Checking in on them quarterly, you said, right? At least a quarterly.
At least quarterly. At least quarterly. We have to treat people like people, and these people pay our bills. These people also are having hope in us that we're going to get them to their goal.
Yeah. Love it. All right. We're gonna go to nugget number three, which is LTV, upsells, anything like that, whether it's keeping clients longer, whether it's upselling them, making them more valuable. I guess, do you have any golden nuggets around that, EJ?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be great for upselling. I'm very, very numbers driven, so I'll share some quick numbers with it too. But it really starts with like a mindset thing too. I think a lot of people are very scared to charge people more, but if
Yes.
they want to pay you more, if they have the budget, why would you not? Because they're going to go spend it somewhere else. But this is a two-way street for sure. Businesses are always going to be able to increase lifetime value, not even taking retention into account if you're able to provide value to your client first. And the key word with this one is first. So I say that because, quick example, if you're going out to a restaurant and let's say the waitress, waiter gives you a free dessert, I'm hooking them up. I'm giving them a good tip, right? But it's because they showed me that proactivity. They didn't just get it out of the gate, right? And it's kind of the same example here where we need to still give them value first, even if they are already dining in our booth. And so I say that because it's very common to be under the impression that, a contract gets signed and then, they're going to stick on for 12 months and then we're off to the races, right? So if someone pays you once, they're going to pay you again. And numbers with this, just really quick math, is if you're able to sell someone 10 times more on what their monthly amount is, let's say you have a $200 a month membership and you sell them a $2,000 product, it only takes selling 10% of your audience to double your revenue for that month.
Mm.
So most people are probably not going to take you up on that offer, but it only takes 10% to be able to double the revenue for that month. And so ways that you can do this, especially being that you're brick and mortar in the studio, are things like quarterly events, retreats, masterminds, remote boot camps at somewhere else, right? More intimate programs. But before you think like, oh, I can't do that to my members, or they don't have, the money to pay for it, or I can't offer someone something that's out of the price range. I learned this very, very young, when I was like 19. Do not sell out of your own pocket ever. Like ever.
Mm.
It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, trillionaire, or you're broke. 1 out of 11 people are millionaires. And so it used to be 1 out of 10, it's 1 out of 11. And if you think, okay, well, that's for people older too that are in their 60s. This is for 25 to 55, which is the realm of ideal targeted demographic for gyms that everyone goes after. And guess what? They're not walking around with this big flashing sign over their head that says, I'm a millionaire, right? Chances are they're pulling up to the gym in a normal car or they're dressed in normal. You're seeing them when they're ready to sweat. So they're not going to look anything more glamorous than when they're out at the mall. Um, but they don't even need to be a millionaire to afford a $2,000 product,
Yeah, of
right? So,
course.
and I had to learn this lesson over the long term in my business is that the worst thing you can do, or worse thing you can do is not selling someone a $2,000 product that has a $200 budget, but selling someone a $200 product that has a $2,000 budget. And,
Mm.
you won't know what price sensitivity or how price sensitive your members are until you ask. And the worst thing that happens is they say no, but they see the value. Best case scenario, you're making 10 times more off of them in 1 quarter. So create some type of a program. I've seen people do remote boot camps by taking a group of people onto a bus and going somewhere up north and actually having like a remote boot camp getaway. That's one way you can do it, having a remote mastermind. There are some people that will give like their head trainers work number out, have them in a group chat, and then they'll go grocery shopping once a week. And they'll do that every single week as like a feature of a greater program. So there's a ton of different things that you can do to make something very much worth it. But there are people that want to pay you more. It is your goal and your responsibility through the conversations that you have with people to see what they want and what is going to bring them in to get to that 10%.
Yeah. I mean, there's, like you said, there's a million. I hear about people adding manual stretch therapy, I hear people selling GLP-1s.
Yep.
Like usually a lot of the things, the examples you gave is it's access. Like I want more access to the owner, the head coach. I want to spend more time with them. I want to have more closer time with them and where I'm not sharing them with so many people. So just like less people and more attention on you is our common model, right? Like boot camp is the least priced and then semi-private and then one-on-one, but then it's like one-on-one in a remote setting for a retreat that we're doing, or a small group going and doing a retreat. And I've seen everything from nutrition, retreats to yoga and meditation and, like those types of things. To your point, if you train a lot of business owners, maybe you do organize a business mastermind and you're like, hey guys, I need all my CEO clients. We're going to go talk to this leadership expert and we're going to this, destination and it's going to be awesome. So there's a lot of ways to sell it and spin upsells. Those are all great examples. And then the best part is, I tend to see the people who spend the most with you also stay the longest. The people you actually should be on like guard of is the person who's spending the minimum amount, like your monthly reoccurring. They never buy retail, they never buy supplements, they never go to events, they never upsell. That is actually your most in danger person of canceling. They're spending they're least engaged. They're spending something, so they're above a non-member, but they're not your highest, right? You're trying to always move people up the value ladder, solve their
Right.
problems.
Exactly. And that goes too with the lifetime value. That might be one of your indicators is, if they don't end up buying a t-shirt within the first year, maybe their likelihood of churning within 18 months is 10 times higher, right? So you'll have to look at what your indicators are. Everyone's different with that, but the basis or the bare minimum is engaging, like you said. So how often, how frequent are they engaging with you? Are you tagging them in posts and are they liking it? Are you calling them and they're not picking up? Are they scheduling a no showing? Are they just no showing at all for 2 weeks on end? Right.
Yes, all of those can be measured. And the cool part is, guys, you got this great thing called AI where you can say, hey, you go into my CRM AI, you find all these things that I'm telling you, and then you tell me what I'm missing, right? Like who's not buying things, who's regularly not showing up. Like you find all the red alerts and you bring them to me, and then I'll do the dirty work of calling them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
So
a great bonus too. I mean, I do that now for us and for our clients too, where we're not greedy with tagging people. So we'll tag them for if they confirmed, if they scheduled, whatever it is, and then we can export everything. We throw it into an AI and we talk to it like we're a fifth grader, and we tell it, hey, based off of these variables, these are the people that closed, these are the people that canceled, no showed, rescheduled, whatever it is. Give me all the data and statistics that I need to increase my lifetime value or to help my show rates. We've ran numbers before and now we have them where if they are scheduling, they're not confirming, they're not engaging, and they're not leaving a deposit, show rates are 20 to 40%. If it's 60 to 70%, if they're engaging or having a connecting conversation without leaving a deposit, if they leave a deposit, it's 85 to 95%. So
yeah,
another golden nugget, but we found that out through running all of our numbers through it. So.
love it. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to shift gears here, EJ. I got a lightning round. It doesn't have to be like one word answers, but we're trying to say a minute or less and just some fun questions for you to kind of go through with a gym owner. So because we said AI, I'm going to start there. What is one use case you see for AI that gym owners need to adopt or launch if they haven't already that makes a meaningful difference in their business? Because I feel like a lot of people play and goof off, but like an actual bot or a prompt that you're like, this actually changed this gym owner's business meaningfully?
One that's valuable is if someone is first inquiring, most gym owners are getting information on them. So, what are their goals? What have they done? What do they plan on doing? What happens if nothing changes? So, I think tailor making a message uniquely to fit all of that instead of the first initial message, because you're just trying to get people to engage when they first inquire. That doesn't mean necessarily always having AI take over a conversation, but at least having it create a very unique message for that first message that goes out, because that's
Mhm.
going to make it seem the most human.
Love it. Okay. Very good. Next one. What is one book, if you could download it into every gym owner's brain, kind of like the Matrix, what book would you want that to be?
I would want to say going through good old Hormozy. So anything with the offers, I'm a big fan of the offers creation book. I think what is probably going to be the best one is going to be the $1 million money models, honestly, for
Yeah.
gym owners. We're starting to implement that for people too and help them with creating their money model with stacking offers and everything on the back end. It's a very easy read because it's so dense and you can get it on anything too. So it's available out there.
Love it. Okay. And then what's one boring habit that separates the successful gym owners you see from the, struggling gym owners?
If you don't have a system in place, not building it because you think that if they build it, they'll come. So
Mhm.
we have people that will get prospects coming in, knocking on the door. We have someone that got, $3,000 cash collected within a month of just trial purchases. They didn't call a single one for whatever reason. So having the systems in place, we're in business to make money here and to help people. And so that is it, is lean into or take the advice from the people that want to help you grow the business.
Love it. All right, last one. You decide you're going to grand open a gym. You have to get to 30K EFT in 12 months, which is, again, a pretty good push. What model would you run? What would your price point be? And what's your grand opening strategy? So three parts to that.
So I think the price point is going to vary based off of what you're selling. So if you're doing group training versus Pilates, the price point is probably going to be a little bit
Well,
lesser.
I'm letting you pick. This is like a dream
Okay, okay.
scenario. EJ is actually going to open a gym. Which would you what kind of gym would you open? What would you price it at? And what's your grand opening strategy?
I would go towards right now where it's at. Not just Pilates, but hot mat Pilates has been very high end. We're talking $300 to $500 a month for uh,
So hot mat Pilates means the
hot
mats
mat.
are they're heated up. Like what the heck is hot? I've never even heard of this.
This is what I'm saying. This is new. So it's hot mat Pilates. It's reformerless Pilates. So it's a room that gets heated up, and
Oh, okay.
it's essentially like a yoga, but very Pilates
I
oriented.
I took it too literally. I thought the mats are literally being heated up, and it's like the room is hot. You're just doing mat Pilates in a hot room. I
You
was
might be on
envisioning
something.
like mats being heated up like a car seat in a car, and I'm like, why do I want the mat hot? Okay.
You might be onto something. I
Yeah.
would patent that before someone else hears it and tries to go
There you
get a
go.
heated mat next. But I would say hot mat Pilates. You would start off with doing 3 months in pre-sales, push very hard in pre-sales because you're only going to be able to offer pre-sale offers one time. And then once you're open, you switch over to more of an ongoing open slash evergreen offer.
Mm.
But push very, very hard in the pre-sales, spend $3,000 to $4,000 a month per month for 3 months during grand opening, create a lot of hype, run some type of an event for that grand opening
Yes.
date, time, and place. And then I would push still another 3 to 4K a month for month 1 and 2 once you're opened up. Then at that point, based off of where your membership base is, you can throttle back some ad spend. For price points, you're going to offer some type of a founder's rate or foundation rate as people are coming through. That ranges anywhere up to 20% is kind of the sweet spot that we found. And then tapering down all the way to 10%. So you might go 20, 15, 10. And then after 12 months to keep your lifetime value, instead of keeping to give people 20% off, you still give them a form of lifetime discount after 12 months, but instead of it being 20%, you drop it down to 10%. So you increase your cash collected by at least that extra 10% after 12 months versus being like, oh man, I got these people that are diehard and now I have to work with them forever and they're great or they're bad or whatever it is. And the way you do that, you set the expectation, you make it very clear that they understand they get this ongoing indefinitely and it drops to 10%, but they get something in 12 months that no one else gets.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it's funny because I just helped another gym grand open and I stole the playbook from another brand, which is good to keep your eye on other things. The franchise is called Glow Tanning, GLO. And when they open, they have a building or they have a line wrapped around the door on grand opening. And it's the way that they do founding membership is you have to come on a specific day and get in line and buy your founding membership there. And I thought, man, that's kind of unique because we always do it digitally, like the gym's coming, buy it now. We'll let you know when you can come in and redeem it. But what it
Yeah.
makes for is it's a media, fever. And so like you'd have 300 people lined around the building. You get a balloon arch. You have vendors there giving out people stuff while they're in line. And the content that you capture versus when we just sell people remotely and we'll say, oh yeah, we open in a month and you don't really get any media out of it. I'm like, that's smarter. So I actually told a gym owner, you should do this. And they did it. And it was a home run that you claimed your founding membership. You had to put in a $10 registration, but you need to come on like June 11th and get in line on Saturday at 8 a.m. And then they had 150 people because people want to bring people to an event. Hey,
Yeah.
come with me, hubby. Hey, cousin, let's go. Let's go check it out. They're opening. Yeah, get in line with me. Let's talk.
I
And
love
I was just, and then I said, you got to have a camera guy. You got to get a videographer there and record it. And like the content they got just gave them so much ammo to just keep that going for pretty much 30 days after they opened. They
Oh, yeah.
just kept getting more and more and more people. So yeah, like again, think about it like how could I even take an event and how can I monetize it from that point forward with the content and just thinking like that, right? Like not just like I'm gonna do this thing, check the box, move on to the next thing. Like capture it, right? It's an event.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I think to that point too is on the grand opening. Just while we wrap up too is when you're promoting the event for grand opening, that would be like we talked about offers earlier, having an offer oriented for people that show up there,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that's what they did. It was like only people on this date get this price. Literally the next day it's going up $20 a month. So then there was a reason I have to be there on that day. And
yeah.
yeah. All right. So EJ, as we wrap up, man, I just want to point people to you. If people want to learn more about you, what you do, your services, where should they go? How should they get in contact with you?
They can search us up. It's Honeynest, HONEYNEST.co, not .com. If you search .com, you're not going to find us. It's .co.
Okay. And then just so we can like better laser in who should get a hold of you, there's a lot of gyms. Do you work with all gyms, big box gyms, Pilates gyms? Like where should they be revenue wise? Kind of call that out too.
Either if they're in pre-sales and they need help opening up, that's one of our specialties. If they're open, ideally anyone that has a lifetime value over $1,500, so $150 a month, keeping them at least 10 months is a sweet spot. If you're not there yet, we can help you get there. But ultimately, that's that way we can make logistics work for you.
Love it. Okay. All right, guys, that is EJ with Honeynest. Give him a reach out and give him a follow so that you can see more tips on how to grow your business. Appreciate you, EJ. We'll see you again soon.
Hey, gym owners, let's face it, you probably don't love digital marketing. You probably don't want to go into Facebook and load the ad up and think of ad copy and creatives and optimize it daily. Well, hand that over to me and my team because we're geeks about marketing and we want to flood your gym with new members so you can change their life. Let us do what we do best. All right, go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call. Don't bring the credit card. It's not a hard pitch. It's just a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Talk soon.